Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, my dear students, and hello everybody. This is a new lesson today, and it's probability. Yes, let's talk about some concepts of probability. Number one, we will talk about sample. What is a sample? Yes, a sample is a part of an experiment. So it's a part of any population of a population to obtain information about a large group or population. Smaller parts or samples are studied. A sampling method is a procedure for selecting sample representing to represent the population and to provide a reasonable representation of a population situation. So we can say that the sample is a part of a population, a part of a population. Population is being selected to represent the whole population so we can predict the manner of the population by studying the sample. That's very good. Now we're talking about sample space. Number two, a sample space. A sample space is a set of all outcomes of a random experiment. Space is a set of all outcomes of a random experiment. Let's see, for example, if we have a coin and we throw this coin for one time. So the sample space has two elements, maybe heads or maybe tails. That's right. So we can say in other words, it's the set of all possible outcomes. So we can say that a sample space is a set of all possible outcomes. Number three, the event. But we want to talk about sample space before talking about the event, and we can simplify the sample space by the alphabet S, and then n of s is denoted, yes, or denotes to the number of elements of sample space. So the number of elements of sample space can be denoted by n of s. That's very good. What about the event? The event is a subset from the sample space. The event is a subset of a sample space. So maybe event which is named A, symbolized by A. So A is subset from S, and then the number of elements of A is denoted by n of A. N of A is the number of elements of the event A. So for example, if you want to take a sample from your class, yes, you are going to take any student of our class, and this student will represent our class. If we want to know the levels of our class, we can take one or two students and ask them and know their levels, and we can determine the level of our class by determining the levels of these two students. So these two students are the samples, or the sample for this population, which I mean this class. And the sample space is all of your class students. So it's a sample space of all of our classmates. That's very good. So the event is a part of our class, which is subset of our class. Now, you may ask me, what is a random experiment? The random experiment is an experiment which is being simulated, and we can't determine which of the outcomes will occur, but we know it's all possible outcomes. so we can't determine the actual outcome. But we know all the outcomes that may occur in the random experiment. Now, we are going to talk about probability of an event. Probability of an event, which is denoted by P of A. P of A means the probability of an event A. P of B means the probability of event B. So P of A is N of A divided N of S. Number of the elements of the event A divided by the number of the elements of the sample space. Maybe, yes, by another words, maybe said by another words, the number of outcomes in the event A divided the number of all possible outcomes in the sample space. So this is our rule for today. The probability of an event A means number of A divided the number of S. And now we have N of A. N of A should be less than or equal to N of S. Why? Because A is subset. Because A is subset from S. So, saying that A is subset from S, maybe the number of A equal number of S, or maybe number of A less than the number of S. So N of A may be less than or equal to N of S. If we divided the number which is less than by another number which is less than at or maybe equal at, so the result may be equal 1 or maybe equal fraction between 0 and 1, which is named by proper fraction, or maybe equal 0. When it's a proper fraction, it's maybe possible. When it's 1, so it's sure event, because the number of A is equal number of A equal number of S. When it's equal 0, so it's impossible event, because number of A equal 0. And now let's move to our exercises, and let's open together page 50, and we will take the first exercise. And it says, during the training of a soccer team for the final match of the World Cup, a player scored 12 goals out of 15 kicks, and another player scored 9 goals out of 12 kicks. Whom will the coach choose to kick the penalties during the match or during the final match, and why? So let's find the probability of the first player and the probability of the second player. The first player scored what? Let's see, 12 goals of 15 goals. So the its sample space is 15, so its probability, so first, P of first equal 12 over 15. 12 over 15, that means by simplifying this fraction, dividing by 3, which is equal 4 over 5. And the second player, probability of second, which is equal, he scored 9 of 12 kicks. 9 of 12 kicks, that means 9 over 12. And we can simplify this fraction to get by dividing by 3, which is equal 3 over 4. So which of them is greatest? 4 over 5 or 3 over 4? Let's determine. Okay, so 4 over 5 may be equal by multiplying by 4, may be equal 16 over 20. And 3 over 4 by multiplying by 5 may be equal 15 by 20. So the first player, yes, has the greatest probability to score the goals. So the first player will be selected to kick the penalties during the final match. That's enough for today. Thanks so much, and we will complete in the next lesson.